I do truly believe there's like half the country that really doesn't understand the Constitution and the principles behind it and want to live a very different life
Yeah, what
and
so many people want to be controlled, like,
controlled.
they want a COVID-like state forever.
Right.
They wanna be told,
Right.
"Yes, please stay the fuck home. Let me take my foot off the gas pedal. Life is hard. I don't wanna
Yeah.
be challenged. I don't wanna think. Can we just watch Tiger King forever, please?"
Yeah. And then the rest of us go, where's this money coming from you're giving me? What's it going to do to the power of the dollar?
Yeah,
Are
how
we going
much
to
are
have
we giving to Ukraine?
hyperinflation?
Like,
Right. Right. We all think and half the country just believes that like the government can just print money and keep handing it out to other countries and us, and then um, it's not going to impact us. Whereas people, 50, 60, 100 years ago, we were so much closer to poverty. We were so much
mhm,
closer to um, people lived through the Great Depression. People lived through wars that they were like, whatever we can do to avoid this from happening, we need to do because this is awful. And now we've become so soft because we've done so much. And because we live in a world where if my kids wait 30 seconds for something, it's like a monumental, like, this is bullshit. Like, anything. It doesn't matter anymore. You know, that they think that just you can just keep spending and spending and the government can just give you and provide for you and give you, and then they don't see the other side of that is that when it ultimately collapses on itself, because the government, this may be a shock to people, but the government doesn't make money. It spends our money. We make the money,
mm,
they take it from us, and then they spend it. And when we're no longer able to make money, they don't have the money to spend. And then the economy collapses and we're eating our fucking dogs. And people think that would never happen. Oh my God, that would never happen. And I'm like, we're like 2 weeks away from that happening at any given moment. Like, if the dollar collapses, if the economy collapses, and you think $5 gas, when gas is $10 or $20, um, then everyone's going to go, how did we get here? And people like
mm.
us are going to be like, we got here through wokeness and promises of the government taking care of us. And the government is full of fucking idiots by and large. I don't know how
Oh,
anyone
but my
doesn't pick
student
up on
loans
this.
my student loans aren't getting paid for.
Yeah, right, your student loans, and then they go, well, why not? Why don't we pay for this? Why don't we pay for that? And everyone go, and then no one goes, where's the money going to come from? Where we can't just print. And the government goes, yeah, we can print money. Which again, going back to the Bitcoin thing, right? Where I get so fascinated by it is the ability to take the money away from the government and be like, you can't control this, you can't create it, and you
That's
can't dilute
cool,
it. Like
and
right
it
out of the
has
gate, to
value.
me, right? I'm like, so this is something that the government, there's 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be created, and there's no way to create more. And the government is powerless to seize it like a company and be like, we're just going to print another 21 million because a war happened and we want to give them 21 million Bitcoin. So we're just going to, you have no ability to do that. And this is why it scares the shit out of the government, is because it's separated for the first time in history of the technology to separate that from them. And this is something that, imagine that the government has the ability to print money. They can just print it. They don't need to vote on it.
Yeah, it
We
used
don't
to
need
be
to approve
based
it. They can
on gold, now it's what?
gold.
Based on the idea of gold?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just based on it's based on, some people will say it's based on the military. It's based on that we're a superpower, that we have the military to back up and enforce people to basically accept the
it's
value
an
of it.
IOU.
But it's just garbage. I mean, the US
Mhm.
dollar has decreased in value like 99% in the last, I don't know, fucking 50 years or
But
something
it's
like
like they
that.
wanna keep it the global standard. I feel like so much shit is
Yeah,
happening because, like,
because it's
America.
control.
Yeah.
It's control. I mean, if we move away from the US dollar as the global standard, what does that say for the government? Here's what people need to understand is like the future, the world in the future, um, advanced civilizations won't have governments. They'll laugh at this. This is like praying to the sun god, and like they're like, so you let me get this straight. You guys still have like this group of people you elect, and they go and do this goofy shit, and half of it's done behind your back, and you're forced to reelect one idiot side versus another idiot side. Advanced civilizations will move away from this, and that power and control will go back to the individuals, and they'll have
Mhm.
the technology like Bitcoin to say, how do we control this? We take the rulers away from the rules. You sit with Bitcoin, you say, we, for the first time in history, when Satoshi created Bitcoin in 2008, it was, how do we get the rules set and get rid of the rulers and the ability for people to change the rules when it's convenient. And we didn't have the technology to do that up until that point. And then he created this thing which says we basically wind up the clock, and once the clock goes, nobody can change the rules. And that to me is so appealing, because I don't want a right-leaning president to change the rules, and I don't want a left-leaning president to change the rules when it comes to money. I don't want a right-leaning president to start a bunch of wars and give a bunch of money away, and now my dollar is worth half of what it was 5 years ago because you printed it into obsolescence. And I don't want someone leaning left to do the same thing for their own stupid fucking reasons, right? Student loan forgiveness.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be a very dumb question, but I know very little about Bitcoin. Where did Bitcoin get? You have a fridge right there. Oh my God, is this your man cave?
I work from home, so yeah, this is where I work. There's another monitor over here.
That's adorable. Yeah. What are you drinking? What's going on?
Someone left us. We had a party this weekend.
Topo Chico spike seltzer. Is that what that
is? Hard seltzer. Someone brought this. I don't know.
Yes, it's Topo Chico hard seltzer. I'm like familiar with every.
I've never had them before, but they're pretty good.
They're okay.
Somebody left it.
High noons.
So, sorry, your question about
where does this might bore.
Where does the value come from?
Anybody watching who already knows this, but it's like, how do you create a currency? Where does the value for this currency even come from?
Yeah. And the SBF and the FTK thing is a prime example of this. And again, we're kind of in our infancy, but what happened was back in 2008, a guy who nobody knows who he is was getting pissed off about the government's printing money and inflation. And he said, and for about 20 years, we've been working on trying to create a digital version of money, but it always failed because there were some things we just couldn't solve for. Imagine somebody designing like a jet engine for a plane, and you're like, we're close, but there's this thing that we can't solve for. And then somebody comes along and solves it and says, no, we've fixed that issue. And now we've made it where there's all these checks and balances built into this software. And then everyone downloads the software in their house and runs it. And that's like their vote. It's called a node. But everyone's computer running the software, which is free and cheap and easy and open source, everybody can look at it, basically votes on the rules. And everybody votes to keep these rules the same. And the government, for them to try to create more votes, more nodes, would be so cost prohibitive. It's actually impossible now for governments to bend the rules because it's been taken on, just like the internet, right? Just like the adoption of the internet. And so the program itself, when it starts, without getting technical, it generates Bitcoin through the process of these computers doing these calculations. And then those Bitcoin can be transferred to any people as they're coming out. The people who discover that Bitcoin, think of it like solving a math problem. You could run a computer from your home. And I did this for years. And to give you an idea, I did this when Bitcoin was like maybe $50 a coin. And I was running these Bitcoin miners.
What is it now?
It's like 17,000. But I got into it when Bitcoin was like $10 a coin. So I bought these miners. I was still at the FBI. I wanted to learn more about Bitcoin because we were investigating cases where bad guys were using it for bad things. And I'm like, this has to be a fucking Ponzi scheme.
Bad coin.
Bad coin, right? And this is where the Silk Road and all those other things came into existence. And people were selling drugs and guns and child porn. And Bitcoin was kind of being used. In hindsight, it makes total sense because it's a new technology that bad guys typically adopt new technologies. They find ways to use it before the good guys do. But anyway, so mining Bitcoin, which is how Bitcoin's created, means you get a computer and it does these calculations. It's basically trying to figure out a math problem. And I know I'm dumbing this down. There's anyone in the chat, but
dumb it down for me. I need it.
Yeah, they're doing like a math problem. That's part of the program. And the program says whoever could figure out this math problem first gets awarded X amount of Bitcoin. And it's 50 Bitcoin back then. And every 10 minutes, this math problem is solved based on the worldwide computing power. So this is so super cool. The program looks out and says, how many computers are trying to solve this problem? And to put it into simple terms, let's say
like monkeys typing on typewriters,
right.
And they eventually come up.
Exactly. It's exactly like that. Because actually it's very random. It's not like the problem they're trying to figure out is basically a guessing game. So the more horsepower, computer horsepower you can throw at it, the faster you're going to get to guess right. And what that creates is an arms race where other people try to use more powerful computers to guess. I was using laptops in the early days, and then I could use PCs, and then you had to use PCs with graphics cards. And then they went to these ASIC computers, which are like computers that only do this. But imagine using a laptop at your desk back in the day, back in 2011, 2012, and it would just run and try to solve this problem. And when it did, you were awarded by the network. You unlocked a code, and inside of that lockbox that you unlocked was 50 Bitcoin. Back then, that's a lot, right? 50 times 17,000 is insane. Except Bitcoin back then was worth like a penny. It was worth like half a penny. So there were people earning thousands of Bitcoin a week.
Wow.
And didn't know they were sitting on what would be hundreds of millions, billions of dollars 10 years later. So there are people who've thrown out computers with billions of dollars worth that are going to landfills trying to find them.
No.
Yeah. The first use case of Bitcoin, documented use case, is a guy who went to a local pizzeria and convinced the pizzeria to sell him 2 pizza pies, Papa John's, for Bitcoin. He gave them 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Do the math on that. 10,000 times 17,000. Hundreds of millions of dollars he paid. That pizzeria guy was sitting on. Now, I never heard whether the pizzeria guy kept them or he probably just threw them away because it's digital. So he probably had it on a thumb drive and threw it away, like so many of us did. And so when it gets created, what ends up happening is that the more people who try to solve this problem, the stronger the network gets, because anyone trying to attack the network means they have to like overcome that computing power of everyone else. So it's a very brilliant way to build up a defense of saying the more people who are doing this the right way, that means the more computers you're going to need to overthrow those people. And very quickly, it goes into the numbers where the cost of doing this would be trillions of dollars, and you could just never take over the Bitcoin network. So it's a very brilliant way that it was done. And so every 4 years, the number of Bitcoin awarded gets halved. So as people are doing these calculations, it's called a difficulty adjustment. The program looks at it and says, we have 100 computers trying to find out this code. So let's make the difficulty for the next question this difficulty level, because it should take them 10 minutes to figure out. And if a bunch of people join and start doing this and it gets solved in 5 minutes, the difficulty will go down or up. So it adjusts on a 2-week cycle. And so I was mining Bitcoin in my house with these, by today's standards, primitive miners, and I was making about $10 a day. The cost of the electricity to run these machines was about $10 a day. They're like, it's like running a space heater 24/7.
Wow.
Now, when Bitcoin hit 69,000, I went back and looked at the Bitcoin I made back then, and I was making about, again, this is a while ago when I did the math, but I was making about $15,000 a day in my garage.
Oh my God. That's better than OnlyFans.
Yeah, a day.
And you have to show your butthole.
No, never had to show my asshole.
Wow.
It became a constant source of debate in my house because the machines created heat. I had them in my TV room. My wife said, get these fucking things out of here. I put them in the garage. I had paint cans like melting in there. It was so hot because they kick off a ton of heat.
Wow.
Eventually, I piped the miners into the heating system of the house when I moved. So I was heating my house with Bitcoin miners and making money with it. So it's a long conversation.
The only type of miners you do want in your house, right?
That's it. Yeah, they'll actually can heat your house and it don't smell like shit. So that's how it works. And then the beauty of it is, and the reason why I fell in love with it when I was at the FBI was that when you're saying, okay, well, I could know the address, the wallet, it's called the wallet address of the bad guy. He could literally tell me, I'm sitting on $50 million in Bitcoin. Here's my address. And my first instinct at the FBI was like, all right, well, let's get the probable cause and seize it. And then when you realize you can't, you're like, oh my fucking God, this is going to change everything. Because if I can't get it at the FBI, and I know we couldn't get it at the FBI, there was ways we could, if they fucked up, we could get it. If they left it on their laptop and it wasn't encrypted, and they left it out in their desk and it wasn't encrypted or was open, or you get a private key, it's 12 words that if you memorize those 12 words, that can unlock your Bitcoin. Well, if you write down those 12 words on a piece of paper and you leave it and I do a search warrant in your house, yeah, I can seize it. But if those 12 words are in your head or on a piece of paper that you hide in a fucking tree trunk in your backyard in a plastic bag, and your butthole on a tattoo around your rim, we'll never get it.
Only your wife can read it.
Right, which would be a great way, right, to hide your Bitcoin. But that made me realize, like, this is a game changer.
It'd be Buttcoin then.
Yeah, but then your OnlyFans, you could never show your butthole on OnlyFans.
Right. Because you could give away your your code. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right. Love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.